Thank you very much. How y'all doing today? I appreciate being here. Thank you very much, Scott, for inviting me today. Hopefully, in the next 30 minutes, I can teach you what I've learned in 40 years. That's a pretty difficult job, but I will do my best. You probably heard of TED Talks. I don't know how to give one of those, but I do know how to talk about TED. Now, you may be wondering why you're showing up in a hitting seminar when you're educators. Well, there's a lot to be learned from certain keys in hitting. And if you write these down, when you go to your tryout at Fenway Park, these will come in a lot handy, I guarantee you. Ted always said, get a good ball to hit, choke up with 2 strikes, don't pull a curveball. And what he means by guess is what's the pitcher going to throw? It's kind of like intuition. You know, what's life going to throw at you down the pike? There are a lot of curveballs. I'm sure you're seeing curveballs in your life, and I'm sure you're seeing curveballs in your student's life. Anyway, what has that got to do with the price of eggs? Let me try to explain. I had a lot of good teachers along the way, and it's the only reason I'm standing here today. And this is my mother, Jane, who is the director of reading in our 7 towns in our area. I come from the backwoods of New Hampshire, up near Wolfboro, New Hampshire. You may know Lake Winnipesaukee. Anyway, she got my brothers and myself reading probably around 3 days after we left the hospital. And if she were here today, she'd tell you, right, math, science, technology, very important. If you can't read the book, where are you going? That's the net bottom line. Anyway, the next teacher was my 6th grade teacher, who I really was very fond of. German lady, Dolly Schneider, as you can tell. Very strict, disciplined. Everything had to be absolutely perfect. That's the way the Germans do things. If you have a German background, you know. And she always was saying, well, that's great, Corky, but I know you can make it better. That was her philosophy. She used to run a vocabulary test every week and give out 1 prize. 1 prize. Not the whole school, not the whole class, 1 prize. Anyway, she taught me how to develop a great memory, and I'll never forget her. She just passed away a couple years ago, about 96 years old, so she went full speed. There's a great woman, I loved her a lot, Linda Buell. She probably could have made $100 million on Broadway, but she decided to be a teacher at Kingswood Regional High School. And Linda, they called her the drama queen because people would come from Boston to watch her Broadway musicals. Just absolutely astounding. So if you might be in the backwoods of Massachusetts somewhere and you say, there's no way I can compete with Broadway, I guarantee you there is. And Linda was the proof. Unfortunately, breast cancer got her at age 53. Ernie Baton, he taught me how to write. And obviously your kids need to know how to write if they're going to write papers on technology. Ernie had a little book, and the book had pictures in it, no words. Every night, what you had to do was go home and write an essay on what that picture meant to you. You write 180 essays, I guarantee you're going to learn to be a good writer. Great exercise. I don't know if they still make this book. I'm sure you can make your own book. Here's my great-great-grandfather. He fought in the Civil War. June 22nd, 1862, he got shot twice. It was at the Battle of Gaines Mills. He taught me perseverance because he said, the obituary said that he was 22 years old at the time, and it said they sent him home to die. And he did when he was 89 years old. So it just shows you, and I don't mean any play on words here, but you can take 2 bullets and still survive. Long life. What's interesting about this is 112 years after my great-great-grandfather was firing bullets at the Southerners and the Southerners firing bullets at my great-great-grandfather, I was selling the same bullets to Neiman Marcus in the Christmas catalog, 1974. So the point is, your kids might have an idea that came back or came from their ancestors that they can develop into a product. Now, Francis and Scott right here, they wanted me to take a commercial. I'll try to do this fast because I got 30 minutes, that's it. My dad was very big on teaching his sons to be entrepreneurs. And what he said was, boys, you're going to have to get out and make your living. My brother was 14, I was 15. And he said, we're going to get you boys in the donuts business. And we said, well, why would we be doing that, Dad? And he said, because you're going to learn a lot. So he and my mom were running a resort in Winnipesaukee, and one of their cooks would make these donuts. So my brother and I, we'd load the boat up, and the deal was don't come back until all those donuts are sold. So we drove straws. My brother drew the driving straw. He liked to go fast, and I had to sell the donuts. So we go out there one morning, and we find two old guys, and I said, Dick, see those boys? Get me over there. And I walk up, and the guy says, what's your name, kid? I told him. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, we've got the world's greatest donuts. He said, what makes you think that? And I said, well, if you take one bite, you'll know. He takes a bite, and he said, wow, these are the greatest donuts. He said, my name is J. Willard Marriott, and this is my good friend, Governor George Romney. He's running for president. What do you think the odds are you and your brother would come back over here every morning at 7 when those donuts are nice and warm? I said, Mr. Marriott, we'll be here at 7 every morning. So he was our first customer, our best customer, and he let us go around saying that we had the world's greatest donuts, and that helped our sales. So that's a great lesson right there. You get those kids out there early, I guarantee you they're going to get some base hits. Here's my great-great-grandfather again holding my uncle. What's amazing here is that's a soldier holding a soldier, but he doesn't know he's a soldier yet. Going to be one. Fast forward 20 years, there he is. He's shooting his way across France and Germany. My Uncle Bud, his favorite line was, the day you stop fighting is the day you start dying. He had the funniest sense of humor. He would crack me up, and I think that's the reason he survived. So in the tough times, I think it's essential. You got to have a great sense of humor. And I'll address that a little bit later here. Here's my dad in the Navy, 1944. As Scott mentioned, he signed with the old St. Louis Browns, now the Baltimore Orioles. His line was, keep in shape, don't let the grass grow under your feet. What he meant by that was life is short. You don't know if you're going to get 2 innings or 9, so you better go full speed. The only reason I didn't end up in Vietnam like that blonde boy right in the middle there is because I had great teachers, just like yourselves. Now, a lot of you are too young to understand this, but back in the 60s, if you didn't get a 2S deferment, or you weren't married, or you didn't have a medical problem, you were going to go to Vietnam. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to fight, but I just feel lucky that I was able to get into college. I passed enough tests. And that was the only difference between standing here today and being on the wall in Washington, D.C. with the other 58,000 names. That's the net bottom line on that. So I owe everything to the teachers I had. And I hope I'm wrong, but down the road, you may actually save some kids' lives. Here's my grandfather. Here we go again, another war. Lieutenant, U.S. Army, World War I. He taught me how to fish, and also the key element, in my opinion, anything you're ever going to teach is patience. It applies to everything in life. So my idea was, get your kids hooked on Shakespeare. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, Roxanne Coleman, she is the marketing manager for Pure Fishing, and she owns a company in Pure Fishing, Shakespeare Rods and Reels. My idea is you get those cell phones unhooked, no texts, no emails, no Facebook. You take the kids to a pond, a river, a lake, to the ocean. If you don't have one near you, find somebody who's not using a swimming pool, get Massachusetts Fish and Game to stock that pool, and teach those kids how to fish. Because while the fish aren't biting, guess what? They might be thinking, wow, that would be pretty amazing. Here's a guy who liked to fish, name was Ernie. He wrote some books. Now, you may have an Ernie, but he or she in your classroom right now doesn't know it. So that's what you need to do, is cultivate that seed. I do a lot of speaking in the schools. I was up there in New Hampshire, and a kid came in, name was Bobby, and he had the automatic bed maker. I said, Bobby, how the heck would you ever think of that? And he said, well, I had to make my bed before I could eat breakfast. I get tired of going to school with no breakfast. So he came up with this idea. He rigged up ropes to the bedspread, the sheets, and the blanket, and I put a little crank on the front of the bed, and everything was cranked right up, military style. 6 years old. Are you kidding me? The guy should be running one of the Fortune 500 companies. Probably will. That's what got me thinking, wow, this has got to happen nationwide. We got to take 50 million Bobbies creating ideas, not once, a year, like on the Government Invention Day, at least what it used to be, we need 50 million Bobbies inventing new ideas every single day. So, you won't pay attention here because there's going to be some homework. You didn't just come here and you want to sit there all day long. We're going to get you dialed in here and do some homework. We got a little competition. I hope you like it. All right, I've got about 20 different things to create new ideas. Obviously, I can't do this in 30 minutes. But if you take a look, magnification makes things bigger. You make things smaller, that's minification. Aggregation, you combine two things. So if you had wood and you had frozen water, you get popsicles. Okay? Addition, 1 + 1 = 10, just like I just told you with the popsicles. Subtraction, you take something away from the existing product. You can run the alphabet forwards and backwards, and there's 16 other techniques that I can teach. So, here's subtraction. I played college baseball at the University of New Hampshire. I was throwing with Carlton Fisk one day. I'm sure you know the name of the Red Sox. Carlton said he invented my automatic curveball. That was my first invention. He said, listen, I used to cut apples in Charlestown, New Hampshire, and we would throw apples at my brothers and I. That's how I learned to hit the curveball. And I said, you know, Carlton, that's probably true, but while you and your brothers are out there making applesauce, guess what? I was making those automatic curveballs. I think the key on what we're talking about today is don't wait. You got to start today. Now, you heard of the American Revolution. I'm saying we should have the American Revolution, and that's create ideas instantly, every day. Just like it's part of math or science or technology, every single day. And I'm advocating because it started right here in Massachusetts, Lexington and Concord. This is a great spot to do it. And I filed for a trademark on that. I do believe the key is confidence and belief. Now, if a kid comes to school and he's like abused, this right here is his only salvation, you. And that is, he asked a question, Mr. Jones, can I go to the moon today? Yes, that's the answer, but maybe not till tomorrow. I believe that's the key. Playing Mozart in your classroom, very important. Your class is a think tank. I believe you can actually license the ideas to companies that generate out of your classroom, and you can profit by it, both yourself, the school, and the student. Here's my dad and I playing baseball, 1970. So your homework today, you're kind of sitting far apart, but you don't have to do it right now. You pick a partner. You use your 4 initials and the techniques I just gave you, and what you're going to do is come up with a product and email it to me. We're going to have a competition, okay? So an example, let's say we have Nancy Carter sitting out here and Terry Parker. Well, if you combine their initials, you get new cancer treatment program at home. All right, that's minification. You don't have to go to Mass General anymore to get your cancer treatment. You can actually do it at home. So you're going to take your initials with your partner, try to come up with a new product, okay? And what happens is the first partners team that send their idea to me, you'll be throwing out the first pitch at the Lowell Spinners Red Sox game. The next 2 winners are going to be voted on by Tuftonboro Elementary School kids. They will judge your ideas and see what kind of the caliber of your ideas are. So we'll have 3 teams. They'll all be throwing out the first pitch at the Lowell Spinners Red Sox game this summer. You can't send anything to me until lunchtime. That'll give you enough time to hopefully come up with some great ideas. And the contest will run all week until Friday at 5 p.m. There you go. That's where you'll be throwing. So you want to practice. You might want to have a catch with your husband or your son or your daughter. I heard this on the radio the other day. 33% of all math students are overweight or obese. And I was thinking, you got a guy like Steve Jobs, brilliant mind. What would happen if he had lived to be 88 instead of, I think, 58? Now, he wasn't overweight, but he got pancreatic cancer. But you educate a kid for 16 years, he dies of a heart attack because he's overweight at 25. That, to me, is a real waste. I won't go into these, but these are the brain foods. If the kids aren't sticking good energy foods into their brains, how are they going to come up with great ideas? Impossible. You can get this all on Scott's video. So here's 3 different slides on brain foods. They got to eat these things. I mean, you put sand in your car, you're not going anywhere. Motivation quotes, I won't read them, but I can expand on them if I happen to talk to you at some time or I come to your school. I really believe, be nice to everyone, but wait for no one. That applies to everything in life, I believe. The other one I just said, go full speed. You don't know if you're going to be given 2 innings or 9. I do believe humor is a key. And I'm advocating you take 4 kids to tell 4 jokes, 1 minute apiece every day. You get those kids laughing. You change the chemical balance in their brains. You might even develop the next Jimmy Fallon. That's true. Here's something, when they check out of your classroom, if all your students have every one of those sales and all those traits and characteristics on there, I guarantee you they're going to score runs and hit home runs. I had this idea. Anybody ever feel like taking a nap in school around 1 or 2 o'clock? I'll be darned. I'm amazed at that. I thought if you combine schools with hotels, you get school tells, and then you could actually take a nap, maybe during recess or lunch or in between the periods. Now, you think that's funny, right? Well, guess what? The smart minds of Fortune 500 companies like Nike, Google, those people are taking naps. Why shouldn't you have a nap? You got more stress than any of those guys. Create a sense of urgency. You tell your students today is the best day of your life to make your dream come true. You got to make sure they understand. Not next year, not 5 years from now. Bobby, Jimmy, Jane, Allison, we're doing it now, right now. Not waiting for tomorrow. You wait for tomorrow, you may not be here. It was a good friend of mine, Robbie Fatork. He coached the Boston Bruins. He's in the Hall of Fame. His daughter took a nap, Anna, July 21st, 2012, never woke up. Boom, gone. Here's another kid. He's from my town, Jared Moody, captain of the Kingswood baseball team, 23 years old, died of cancer. I'm not tired of fighting you. I'm just trying to get you to act right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Here's my grandfather. He was a minister, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And I know prayer is controversial in schools. I'm going to say it anyway. I believe that the power of prayer is very powerful. I was raised that way. But even if you didn't believe in it, you still might want to think about it because there's 47 scientifically proven benefits of prayer, including relief from the potential heart attack, stress, strokes, depression, Alzheimer's, memory loss, mental decline. If you start getting mental decline as a teacher, probably it's not going to be good. Anyway, you can thank my grandfather. Here's a testimonial. I spoke at the University of New Hampshire. You can read that when you want. That was my business school. I went to the Whittemore School there. I told you the magic donut story. Francis wanted me to put this in there, and Scott. So it's a great analogy that you can tell anybody. Never too late to start. Just get them right out there. Don't let them think that they need a college degree to start moving, start getting base hits, hitting home runs. No way. They're in the first grade just like Bobby. He's out there selling those automatic bed makers. He doesn't have to go to MIT, have 4 PhDs. Get him going right now. There's my contact information. Hopefully you'll be able to come up with some great inventions there. There's my email. You shoot them right over to me. All those products need to be at my email at 5 o'clock by Friday. And we will then, the first one in, starting at noontime, at lunchtime, not now, you automatically qualify to throw the first two pitches out at the Lowell Spinners Red Sox game. And then the next 2 that will be voted on by the elementary school kids at Tufton Road Central School, where I went to school, they're going to find out just how smart you are. And they will pick the next 2 winners. So we'll have 6 ladies, gentlemen, going to the Red Sox Lowell Spinners this summer. They're going to announce you. They're going to announce your products, and then you're going to have to throw a strike. I can't help you with that. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I think Scott's probably down to maybe 5-10 minutes left, and anything that I've said or anything related to innovation, invention, I've done over 40 different products, mostly in sports. I just introduced my second golf ball Monday night in New Jersey to 100 golf writers. You may know the name Ron Jaworski. He's on ESPN. He was NFL quarterback with the Eagles. Anyway, we introduced the brand new ball at Ron's course Monday night to 100 golf writers. I had them out there, and they were belting the balls, a little contest, 3 shots to the pin, and it was a lot of fun. The only thing that didn't work out quite, because you never know when you do these things, all of a sudden I had a sprinkler attack me from behind. Had no shampoo. So, yeah, that's the way it works out. But I'd field any question, anything related to inventions, how you're going to get these kids motivated, how we're going to start spitting out 50 million inventions every single day. USA needs it. We got to turn the country around. You create more jobs, more dollars for yourself as well as every American. It's not a pipe dream. I've done it in the backwoods in New Hampshire, and I know you can do it at your schools, with your class, with your kids. Right. 1975, my brothers and I were on the beach in Florida, and we were playing touch football with some girls. And my father said, "What are you boys doing tonight?" And I said, just kind of being a wise apple, I said, "Well, Dad, we're just going to keep on playing touch football with these girls." And he said, "Well, that's kind of stupid. You can't see the football." And I said, "Well, you know what? If we had a light in the football, we could." But we didn't. So I don't know what we did. But when we came home, I made a lighted football. We went on the backwoods of Tuftonboro with 3 feet of snow, throwing that lighted football around, going crazy. I started making lighted footballs in the fall of '75 and introduced it to '76. Then I lit up everything regarding sports. Tennis balls, frisbees, wiffle balls, hockey pucks, tees, putters, right on the line, until what Scott wanted me to tell you, I'm over in Westford. Anybody from Westford or around that area? And, okay, there you go, Westford. And a friend of mine, Eddie, he goes, "Hey, Corky, where's your golf ball?" I said, "Well, Eddie, that's kind of dumb. Nobody plays golf in the dark. What are you, crazy?" I did not play golf at the time. And he said, no. He said, "We want a ball so that we can actually finish the last couple holes." I said, "You got any balls?" He said, "Yeah, right down the cellar." I said, "Well, I'll make you some balls after dinner." I went down, drilled a dozen balls out there, plugged them a little PVC insert, stuck a light stick in there. I said, "Eddie, there are your balls. Don't call me, I'll call you." Monday, he calls me and need more balls. "Corky, you got to get into the golf ball business." I said, "What are you, nuts? This is a stupid idea." He said, "I'm telling you, if you're smart, you'll get in the golf ball business, lighted golf balls." I went to Lowell, Mass., Chelmsford, 24 years, made millions of lighted golf balls. Right there in Middlesex. I don't know if you're from Chelmsford here, Lowell, anybody? Okay, there you go. Right down the street on Middlesex, 1857, Middlesex Turnpike, right there. Made millions of lighted golf balls for 24 years, right there. Monday night, I just told you, we introduced a brand new ball. It doesn't use chemiluminescent light. It uses a new technology. We impregnated the pigment inside the purlin, inside the golf ball that you charge. If you come to the little booth or table out here, I'll show you. Some of you have seen it. You charge that ball for 45 seconds, boom, you got light. It hits like a Titleist Pro V1. It will light up till you're 119 years old. There you go. Oh, I think you sit down, Scott, between now and 10 o'clock tonight, we'd have 4 notebooks full. Yeah, that's a hard answer. Yeah. I mean, I can light up anything in sports, I know that, but I'm sure there's a lot of other applications.
Sure. So does anyone have questions? We have a couple microphones. Mic up here. Questions for Corky about his path to innovation? One over here.
Sure. Great talk. Just wondering, everyone learns from their mistakes, I think, as an inventor. So we'd love to hear about a great mistake you had and what that led to eventually.
I never made one. Scott gave me 30 minutes. I need 30 years. That is the honest answer to that. But I'd tell you this much. Every mistake I ever made taught me something, and I think that's a great lesson, and that's a great question. You know, you got to tell those kids, I don't care if you make 1,000 mistakes today, Bobby, Jennifer, Alice, and Jimmy. I want you to make mistakes. That's the only way they're going to learn. They've got to be. I had a slide in there. My wife said, "Oh, you're going to choke him. You got too many slides." She tossed about 30 of my slides out. She's a professional speaker. Anyway, I told her, "Betsy, listen, risk and fear. I can talk about risk and fear all day long. And it's essential." I don't know why she threw it out. But anyway, risk and fear is key. You got to make sure these kids understand it's okay to take a risk. And the only thing you have to fear is basically failure. And that's not an option. You got to just tell them, look, We need innovation. We need you. Your brain is as important as all those guys over at MIT right now, Stanford, wherever, okay? That kid right there, Bobby, making that automatic bed maker, that kid right there, I would rather talk to that kid than high school kids, no offense if you teach high school, that are on drugs and alcohol. Because that kid right there, he believes nothing is impossible. Nothing is crazy. He has not been tampered. He has not been contaminated. And he's not looking to spit back something to you. That's pure. Okay, I'm pretty religious when it comes to that. I don't mean in the church. On those automatic curveballs, I was talking to you about Carlton Fisk. I made 57 different prototypes. I will exhaust the idea. You know, some people say paralysis by analysis. I want to make sure all my options are analyzed. Every single conceivable method that I can think of, and I'll go tap other brains, okay? And I am religious when it comes to doing my homework, so I don't get my legs blown off, hopefully. What I mean by that is I will go into the garden clubs, I'll go into the schools, I will go into Kiwanis, Rotary, Lions, I will go into wherever my prime market is. I will measure a pulse today, tomorrow, the next day, and I keep measuring pulses. As long as the pulse starts beating and is beating faster, then I will go faster, dump more money into it, start my molding process. By the way, those curveballs I just came through Beverly. I stayed in Beverly last night. Those curveball molds were made right there, Beverly pattern in Beverly in 1976. It was kind of funny. I don't know if that answers your question, but you need to try to buy insurance against failing, and that's my way of doing it, is putting my whole body, not my toe, into what I think the potential market is and listening. I never have an opinion. My opinion is the aggregate of everybody in the entire room that I'm surveying. Then I will then be given my opinion. That's how I do it. So I got one more thing to say, and I'm all done, Scott. All I'd like you to do is stand up right now. If you stand up, please. And if you just turn to the closest person to you and just say, in your most convincing sales pitch voice, that I am going to start the American Revovention in my classroom today. That's not loud enough. It's not loud enough. Not loud enough. Come on, let me hear it. Yeah, that's what we want. Yes. Yeah, now, just like they had you do in the lobby, 3 times, Revovention, as loud as you can, 3 times, Revovention. You ready? 1, Revovention. 2, Revovention. 3, Revovention. Now go do it. Thank you.
Guys, before you go anywhere, thank you, Corky. We have about, just have a seat for 1 second before you exit. We have about 1 minute left. And I just actually want to reverse the questions. I actually have a question for folks in the audience, and love to hear your thoughts on this. As you leave this session today, what's resonating? What are your takeaways from what you just heard? What are the takeaways that you can apply to your classroom? What are some of the messages that you heard? So, someone offer. Yes. Don't wait. I would agree. Don't wait. There's no need to wait. I think we often in education, we're waiting for someone to tell us, right? You should go and do this, you should go and do that. And I think we saw that with the STEM Squared sessions when folks were coming out for those sessions, going back to their classes and trying different things right away. It's okay to try, and it's okay to experiment, it's okay to fail. So I would agree with you 100%. Don't wait. We still have 3 weeks of school left, right? Plenty of time to go in and have conversations with kids and get them launched into the summertime. Other messages, other takeaways that you're taking from this talk today? Time. Who just said that with a hand? Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Time. Time is important. We know that's a valuable commodity in our schools. You had something? Encourage risk-taking. I think our kids all too often are afraid to fail, and it's okay to fail. And I think that's a very, very strong and powerful message as well. Just 1 or 2 more, and then we'll break so we can switch out. Yeah, just do it. Just go ahead and take the chance and proceed with the kids. And I think that is very, very important. So we thank you very much for your attention today. If you are staying here, the next speaker in this room is Jim Starkey. If you're going to the other room, the speaker in the other room is Sean O'Reilly. Okay, so thank you very much.